Okay, so here's the thing we're not considering.
Okay.
We're always like, Selena can't be the best assassin. What if all the other assassins legitimately suck?
Uno momento.
Get your money up. Get your pussy up, baby.
I am recording.
Get your money up. Get your pussy up.
Okay. We can
Get
start.
your pussy up. Get your money up. Chapter 7. Chapter 7. Selena awoke.
Oh, you don't be quite that loud.
Selena.
We're about peaking the audio right there.
Chapter 7. Selena awoke.
You don't need to make sweet, sweet love to the microphone.
Before dawn.
Especially not with all the lip smacking. That's going to be terrible.
With a pounding head.
All right. Come on.
Selena, Chapter 7. Selena awoke before dawn with a pounding headache. It took one look at the mostly melted candle on her nightstand to know that her encounter in the tomb hadn't been some awful dream, which meant that far beyond beneath her room, there was a talking door knocker imbued with an ancient animation spell. You're correct. And that Elena...
I was correct about
that you
what?
read the last chapter.
Yeah. Of course I was.
And that Elena had yet again found a way to make her life infinitely more complicated. Selena groaned and buried her...
How much has Elena done to make her life actually that much infinitely more complicated?
Not
Because she's
yet.
been running from her like heck.
Yeah.
Well, not even running from her, because Elena hasn't been pursuing her that
She's
much.
been running from the
recouping her
idea
power.
of Selena. And what did Selena... It's been so long. Like, didn't Selena say you will be doing things? But
Elena did.
Elena was like, you will be doing things, but she's not actually been giving any new tasks yet.
Literally. She's like, you gotta be a representative to the people or something. So, like, she said, like, some big overarching idea, but, like...
All fluff,
nothing concrete.
all talk and no action.
Yeah. My recording volume is really low for some reason. All right. I don't know if I did anything.
Okay.
Keep going.
Okay. More complicated. Selena groaned and buried her face in her pillow. She'd meant what she said last night. The world was beyond helping, even if... Even if she'd seen firsthand just how dangerous things could become, M-.
Okay, see, sometimes I'm like, am I reading it too emotionally? And then I go, yeah, but look at all those emotion indicators. It should be read ridiculously emotionally.
How much worse could it... Wait, there's not a question mark. Okay. But she had seen just how dangerous things could become. How much worse it could be. And that person in the hall... She flipped onto her back and
Dramatically.
She flipped onto her back and Fleetfoot poked her cheek with a wet nose.
Oh, yes, Fleetfoot.
The
toy.
toy dog. Idly stroking the dog's head, Selena stared up at the ceiling and the pale gray light seeping through the curtains.
Okay, so now I know it's a pale gray light, because it's still... Oh, I was going to look that up while I was gone, trying to get a better idea of lunar eclipses. Anyways, but now it's claiming that it's a pale gray light from the lunar eclipse night. Okay.
She didn't want to admit it, but Mort was right. She'd gone to the tomb just to have Elena deal with the creature in the hallway, M-, to be rescued, to be reassured that she wouldn't have to do anything. My plans, the king had said. And if Elena was wanting her to uncover them, to find the source of his power, then they had to be bad. As if she didn't already think about that.
She already knows the king's bad. That's already been in her narrative, that kings are bad and royal people are bad.
Worse than the slaves in Calcutta and Endoville. Worse than putting down more rebels. She watched the ceiling for another few minutes until two things became clear. First, The first was that if she didn't uncover this threat, it might be a fatal mistake. Elena had just said she had to find it. She hadn't said anything about destroying it.
All right, how many hads were there?
Well, in what I just recently said, we had, and hadn't. Nothing about facing the king, which was a relief, Selena supposed. And the second was that she needed to speak with Archer, M-, to get closer and start figuring out a way to fake his death. Because if he truly was a part of this movement, and that knew what the king was up to, then perhaps he could save her the trouble of spying on the king and piecing together whatever clues she could find. But first... Oh, no, sorry.
Sounds like you should just join the rebels.
But once she took that step towards approaching Archer, well, then everything would certainly become a lethal game.
Everything's already a lethal game, Selena. You're an assassin.
You just had the death competition. So Selena quickly bathed and then dressed in her finest, warmest clothes before calling for K.R.
Her finest, warmest clothes. Big news. You're going to be noticeable.
Yeah. Calling for K.R. What is he? At the end of a bell? How is she calling for K.R.?
Sent a servant.
It was time for her to conveniently run into Archer Finn. Who give a shit? Section break. Thanks to the snow from the night before, some poor souls had been conscripted into shoveling Rift's most fashionable districts. Businesses stayed open year-round.
They must have been conscripted into this because no one would ever shovel snow. Girl, that's their job.
It's so dumb.
They're being paid.
They're the muck scrapers, the snow shovelers, the waddle pushers.
All seasonal work.
Businesses stayed open year-round, and despite the slick sidewalks and slushy cobblestone streets, the capital city was just as vibrant that afternoon as it was in the height of summer. They have sidewalks specifically?
Oh, this is another thing you need to remember. They've got dedicated sidewalks. They've got pocket watches, which I discovered... If the pocket watch does not have a minute hand, that will set it back to as early as, 1500s.
Oh,
if
really?
If it's got a minute hand, that's more like late 1700s.
So no minute hand, so just an hour hand?
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if it says, if she, checked the minutes.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go back and find it for trying to determine.
Hey, well, you have access to it on... I think you have access to this book on... Kindle, so you might be able to just do search, control, find instead of flipping through the book.
Maybe.
I think if you logged into the Kindle account.
Yeah.
Still, Selena wished.
Gosh, we're barely on the second page.
Because you keep interrupting me.
It's so true.
Still, Selena wished it were summer, since the wet streets soaked the hem of her ice blue gown.
Oh,
and it was so cold that not even her white fur cloak could keep out the chill. As they walked down the crowded main avenue, she kept close to K.R. He had been pestering her again to let him help with Archer, and inviting him along
Sound jealous? Much?
Was the most harmless thing she could do to get him off her back about it. She'd insisted he wear normal clothing instead of his captain's uniform. To him, that meant showing up in a black tunic. Thankfully, no one paid them much
black
heed.
Tunic that everyone could see his muscles rippling under?
Much heed, M-. Not when there were so many people and so many stores. Oh, how she adored this avenue. While all the fine things in the world were sold and bartered, jewelers, hatters,
slavers,
clothiers, confectionaries, confectionaries, cobblers, ... Unsurprisingly, Kale stomped right past every shop window, not even glancing at the delights displayed inside.
He's terrible at undercover.
Yeah, he is. As usual, there was a crowd outside the Willows, the tea court where she knew Archer was having his lunch. He seemed to dine there every day with a few other male courtesans. Of course, it had nothing to do with the fact that most of Richhold's elite patronesses also dined here. She grabbed Kale's arm as they drew near the tea court.
Look, you gotta dine there so you can provide some discreet services.
If you walk...
Because otherwise he's not discreet.
It's true. What is not discreet?
Archer.
Oh. Oh, he had to dine, though? Oh.
To offer discreet services.
Oh, because if he's not dining, then it's like he's loitering. If you walk up looking like you're going to pummel someone, she crooned, linking her elbow through his, then he'll certainly know something is amiss. And again, do not say anything to him. Leave the talking and charming to me.
Probably a good idea.
Kale raised his brows. So I'm just here for decoration.
Yeah.
Be grateful I consider you a worthy accessory. He grumbled something under his breath that she was fairly certain she would not want to hear, but still slowed his pace to a rather elegant walk. Outside the arched stone and glass entrance to the key court, fine carriages loitered on the street.
The carriages loitered, huh?
People hopping in and out of them. They could have taken a carriage. Should have taken a carriage, given how cold it was and the fact of her now sodden gown. But she'd foolishly wanted to walk, to see the city on the arm of the captain of the guard, even if he spent the entire time looking like a threat was lurking around every corner and down every alley. Come to think of it, a carriage probably would have made a better entrance, too.
Probably. You would have been less suspicious. You would have, fit in more at the restaurant I'm assuming you're about to go into. Just saying, you're not so good at this either, Selena.
Entry to the Willows... Was that what it was called? Yeah. Required a hard-to-attain membership. Selena had taken her tea there several times while growing up, thanks to Aubryn Hamill's name. She could still recall the clink of porcelain, the hushed gossip, the mint and cream painted room, and the floor-to-ceiling windows that overlooked an exquisite garden.
No wonder she got a taste for the finer things. She had those when she was younger.
We're not going in there, Kale said.
Scared you'll catch cooties?
And it wasn't exactly a question. She gave him a feline grin. You aren't afraid of a bunch of stuffy old ladies and giggling young women, are you?
What is a feline grin? How would you describe that? Like a Cheshire cat?
Cheshire cat? No. A Cheshire cat smile is specifically a Cheshire smile.
Okay.
A feline grin is probably... I can imagine how it would look, closing your eyes slightly, very sharp features, sharp lips. I don't think a human can do a real human can do a feline grin. That's something for illustrations.
Okay. I'm like... What I first imagined, I was like, that seems more fox to me, actually.
You know how, dogs pant sometimes and it looks like they're smiling?
Mm-hmm.
Imagine a cat doing that, and there's your feline grinner.
They don't look like they're smiling when they pant.
No, but imagine. But
She's out here like...
I said imagine. He glared at her, and she patted his arm. Weren't you listening when I explained my plan? We're just going to pretend that we're waiting for our table. So don't fret. You don't have to fight off all the mean little ladies clawing at you. The next time we train, he said as they eased through the throng of beautifully dressed women, remind me to
Just a woman?
Yeah.
Okay.
They,
Shout out.
as it turns out...
Women can just go out and do whatever they want in this city. I do appreciate that.
That is neat. We're like, oh, this is where Finn and the other male courtesans are hanging out, which is true, but this is actually a ladies' club. A wealthy ladies' club, make no mistake, but it's a ladies' club.
Yeah.
Just saying.
That's why the courtesans are there. That's what I was trying to imply earlier.
No, it was a gay ladies' club.
Oh,
That's what
that
I was
kind of a
implying.
ladies' club.
That's kind of...
They're also rebels.
They're also rebels. Man, this book could never be as cool as I wanted it to be.
Yeah. We would make it so much cooler.
We should rewrite this book. That isn't going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
Remind me to wallop you. An elderly woman turned to glare at him, and Selena gave her an apologetic and exasperated look, as if to say, "Men." She then promptly dug her nails into Kayal's thick winter tunic and hissed, "This is the part where you shut your mouth and pretend to be a woolly-headed bit of decoration. Shouldn't be too hard for you."
A woolly-headed bit of ass?
Bit of decoration.
Oh, my bad. You're right. Roland would be the bit of ass.
Literally ass out. His returning pinch told her that he was really going to make her sweat the next time they were in the training room. So he likes being bullied. I understand now. She grinned. After finding a spot just below the steps that led up to the double doors, Selena glanced at her pocket watch. Archer had begun dining at 2, and usually the meal was over within 90 minutes, which meant he'd be leaving any second now.
90 minutes makes me think she's kept track of it with a pocket watch, which
She just says she pulled out her pocket watch.
Okay, my bad. But that does not narrow it down whether or not it has a minute hand.
It doesn't.
You could figure out approximately 90 minutes with just an hour hand.
Because 90 minutes is an hour and a half.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's close to an hour and a half.
Yeah.
It's not specific enough.
I was just saying it didn't help.
Yeah. She made a good show of pretending to rummage through her small coin purse. And Kayal, mercifully, kept quiet, observing the crowd around them, as if these fancy women might attack them at any moment. A few minutes passed.
Maybe he's paranoid.
He's got that Fëanor in him?
No,
he could never. He could never.
Not even Turgon.
Not even Turgon. Does he have the red alert?
Somebody's going to listen to this who knows the Silmarillion, and finally our references will be understood.
Does he have that red alert in him, do you think?
No. He's not clearly insane.
A few minutes passed, and her gloved hands grew numb as people continued walking in and out of the tea court. Man, this place is bustling.
It is.
So often that no one bothered to notice that they were the only ones who weren't about to go in. But then the front doors opened, and Selena caught a glimpse of blonde hair and a dazzling smile. Bronze hair.
Oh,
bronze hair and a dazzling smile, and she moved.
And she struck.
Kayal played along with expert skill, escorting her up the stairs, up, until M-.
Up the stairs, up. Oh my
until
gosh, another repetition.
Oomph! She cried, slamming into a broad, muscular shoulder. Kayal even pulled her to him, a supporting hand on her back to keep her from toppling down the stairs. She looked through her lashes, and then M-, a blink, 2 blinks, the exquisite face gaping as she broke into a grin. Lena? She'd planned to smile anyway, but when he heard his own...
Archer's muscular? Okay, I get they can't all be twinks like Roland, but dang it!
But when she heard his own pet name for her, ... Archer! She felt Kale stiffen slightly. Not only do I have to endure enemy lovers, but you have to endure jealousy. Listen, if you're in a love triangle situation, you can't afford to be jealous. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
Man, looks like you're struggling to keep your eyes open.
That's because I was just rubbing my eyes.
Don't worry, you don't have...
I can't see right now.
Don't worry. Well, almost halfway done.
Yeah, say when you get to halfway and we'll split the track.
Okay. Let me actually count a little more.
No, you don't have to count. We don't have to be that exact. We can probably
I guess I'll finish this.
We can get this whole thing. We can get this whole thing in one recording. Let's go.
Okay, to stop interrupting.
Never.
She felt Chaos stiffen slightly, but she didn't bother to glance at him. It was hard to look away from Archer, who had been and still was the most beautiful man she'd ever seen. Not handsome, beautiful. His skin glowed golden even in the height of winter, and his green eyes, ...
Ara Finway?
Gods above and will save me. His mouth was a work of art, too. All sensual lines and softness that begged to be explored.
He's got filler. He's had work done. But it was tasteful.
It was tasteful. The kind of work done that's not obvious that it's been done. As if emerging from a daze, Archer suddenly shook his head. We should get off of the steps, he said.
Oh my gosh, he's Glorfindel.
We should get off of the steps.
No, that's worse.
He said, extending a broad hand to gesture to the street below them.
I don't get why everyone is crazy for him. He's too big.
Unless you and your companion have a reservation, M-. Oh, well, a few minutes early anyway, she said.
Oh, that kind of reservation. I thought he meant, concerns about stepping out with me.
How you wouldn't want to be seen with the hall, would you? Actually,
that's exactly what I want to do.
I'm with a hall. What was that noise, sir?
I just pushed your box on the middle.
Oh, okay. What? Oh, well, actually, a few minutes early anyway, she said, letting go of Kale's arm to walk back into the street. Archer followed beside her, giving her a glance at his clothes, M-, expertly tailored tunic and pants, knee-high boots, a heavy cloak. None of it screamed wealth, but she could tell it was all expensive. Unlike some of the flashier and softer male courtesans, Archer's appeal had always been more ruggedly masculine. Boo!
I'm so with you, Tia. I'm just so disappointed with Archer. I'm really disappointed. Okay, I get that there's plenty of people who are like, oh yes, that's so hot.
It ain't us.
But it's not us.
It ain't us.
Literally not us.
Listen, all I can tell you is that Roland is sexier with his... Not sexier, sorry, more attractive with his twink body and his nothing but a dagger. Nothing but a dagger.
See, why did we get this overabundance of description of Roland and nothing but a dagger?
Because if we got an over description of Roland, it would be like nothing but a dagger, but he had thigh-high boots and he had a
described exactly the same and expensive clothing.
Yeah.
Well tailored.
We will bless. Sometimes with Sarah J. Maas, less is more.
In fact, I believe that is the case with everything with Sarah J. Maas. Less is more, actually. Let's have less.
The broad, muscled shoulders and powerful frame, the knowing smile, even his beautiful face radiated a sense of maleness that had her struggling to remember what she'd planned to say.
Excuse me while I gag.
Can I get a... Even Archer
Apologies for the fake gagging, everyone.
Even Archer seemed to be searching for words as they faced each other on the street, a few steps away from the busy courtyard, from the busy crowd.
I thought you were dead.
Girl, I thought you were dead. Girl, I thought you went to Endoville.
Girl, I thought you went... Well, he wouldn't talk like that.
Oh, yeah. Elena, I thought... You went to Endoville. Well, you been, Loka. Yeah. Later, where you been, Mocha? Let's hit the waves. Even Archer seemed to be searching for words as they faced... Oh, I already read that. It's been a while, she began, smiling again. K.R. We remained a step away, utterly silent and unsmiling. He just needs to know how to be whimsical. That's
he
all
needs
I
to be
can
whimsical
say.
and not jealous. And
listen, kissing some boys would fix him. That's all I can say.
You're right. I don't want to say it would fix him.
It wouldn't.
Because it's not anyone's job to fix him.
Okay, that's true. But it would be beneficial.
It would help him realize some things, though. I think if you would just go kiss some other people.
I think if he would kiss some other people,
get some different
he would
blood
unwind a little bit. What?
Get some different blood on his lips.
Literally. I will not say that when we're being recorded, but... Archer stuffed his hands into his pockets. I almost didn't recognize you. I almost didn't recognize you. You were just a girl when I saw you last. You were... ... Gods
13.
above. You were 13,
Really?
I think.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. No. I have not read this before. I didn't, sneak ahead or anything. It's just... She's that predictable.
Well, she's also 18. It was 5 years ago since she saw him, so...
Oh,
Which
apparently
proves to show that she is
subconscious
18.
math.
Because we thought maybe she was 19 by now, but no, she's 18. Let's see, 18. I think she couldn't help herself. M dash. She looked up at him from beneath lowered lashes and pawed. I'm not 13 anymore.
I'm not 13 anymore. You gonna let me riz you? I'm gonna turn down your riz so hard.
I'm not 13
Oh, I totally
anymore.
forgot that she would flirt with him when she was 13.
And he'd sometimes allow it. Archer
It's kind of funny, though, if he was, that built back then, too. That's kind of funny to imagine.
just like this grown-ass man. He's just trying to learn how to be a hoe efficiently. 13-year-old kind of... He's like, what am I supposed to do? Yeah, you're floating with me.
Pick her up and punt her? I'm built like a
Pick her up and put her on a tree? What do you want me to do? Catapult her into the sun?
I'm built like a quarterback.
She's like a little sister to me. She's
tiny.
Archer gave her a slow, sensual smile as he took her in from head to toe before saying, It would certainly seem that way.
Oh my gosh.
Man, they're floating and talking about being 13 too much. You filled out a bit more too, she said.
Oh, he wasn't even that built back then. Never mind, not so funny anymore.
Yeah.
Can't even keep funny stuff.
I bet he's gonna be I don't remember how much older he is. I think it said it.
It said, earlier. We have forgotten, though.
She said, returning the favor of surveying him. Archer grinned. Comes of the profession. He angled his head to the side, then flicked his magnificent eyes to K.R., who now stood with his arms crossed. She still remembered how adept Archer had been at taking in details. It was probably part of the reason he'd become the top male courtesan in Rifthold. See, what do women want? They want men who listen.
And pay attention.
Even if they're paying him to listen, but that's practically a therapist anyway, so what's the difference?
Literally.
This is a therapist you can have sex with. That's all I can... My therapist, however... She still remembered how adept Archer had been at taking in details. It was probably part of the reason he'd become the top male courtesan in Rifthold, and a formidable opponent when Selena was training at the Assassin's Keep.
Notice how it has to specify the top male courtesan.
Take it to the lady courtesan.
The top courtesan?
No, just the top male. They'll win their own special class. She glanced at Kaol, who was too busy staring down Archer to notice her attention. He knows everything, she told Archer.
Have we seen any female courtesans?
No.
I feel like that's kind of feeding into the whole promiscuity is immoral for a woman, but conquest for a man. Just to have like this, the best courtesan is a man.
And he hangs out with the other male courtesans.
Yeah, because it's a fine thing for them to do. Anyways, just bringing that up.
But if it's a woman, she's a
Yeah.
He knows everything, she told Archer. Some tension flowed out of Archer's shoulders, but the surprise and amusement were also wearing off, replaced by hesitant pity. How do you get out? Archer asked carefully, still not mentioning anything about her professional Indoville, despite her reassurance that Kaol knew. I was let out by the king. I work for him now. Archer eyed Kaol again.
Want me to crush this bug for you?
This bug bothering you. And she took a step towards the courtesan. He's a friend, she said softly. Was it suspicion or fear in his eyes? And was it merely because she worked for a tyrant that the world failed? Or because he'd actually turned rebel and had something to hide? She kept herself as casual as possible, as unthreatening and relaxed as anyone might be upon encountering an old friend. Archer asked, Does Oberyn know you're back? That was not a question she'd prepared for.
Really?
Or wanted to hear.
The one guy who knew that you were with Oberyn and you didn't think, maybe he'll ask something in relation to Oberyn?
She shrugged.
Because she sucks at plans.
He has eyes everywhere. I'd be surprised if he didn't know.
I totally thought he was dead.
It's Oberyn's top man who's dead now.
I know, but in the first book, her whole previous mentor, I thought he was gone.
Yeah, he survived the hero's journey.
Dang. It's because he wasn't actually the mentor.
Archer nodded solemnly. I'm sorry. I heard about Sam M. and about what happened at Farran's house that night. He shook his head, closing his eyes. I'm just M. Sorry. Even though her heart twisted at his words, she nodded. Thank you. She put her hand on Kaol's arm, suddenly needing just to touch him to make sure he was still there. Needed to stop thinking about this, too. She sighed and pretended to look interested at the glass doors at the top of the stairs. We should go inside, she lied, and gave Archer a smile. I know I was a little miserable brat when you trained at the keep.
Yeah,
but...
you still are. ...
Do you want to have dinner with me tomorrow? I have the night off. You certainly had your moments back then. Archer returned her smile and sketched a bow. I'll have to move some appointments around, but I'd be delighted. Man, this man is...
He works around the clock.
Get his pussy up. Get his money up. He is an entrepreneur. And I respect him.
Even if he is built like a tree.
Well, not everything can be perfect.
It's so true. Some women like it. I forgive them.
He reached into his cloak and pulled out a cream-colored card engraved with his name and address. Just send word about
engraved?
when...
Is it embossing?
It should be embossed, but it says engraved. That's because this card is thick as a pumpkin. You have to engrave it. Man, listen, the apprentice papermaker put way too much fiber into the vat. They can't put more water into the vat. So... the paper master was like, Let's just make thick paintball. We'll sell it to a chump. That's all I can say. Just send word about where and when, and I'll be there. Section break. Selena had been quiet since Archer left, and K.R. hadn't tried to initiate a conversation with her, though he was near bursting to say something. He didn't even know where to start.
Obedient.
He's obedient. Hold on, I gotta get some water. During the whole exchange, all he'd really been able to think about was how much he wanted to slam Archer's pretty face against the stone building and ravish him.
Really? Please say
No.
yes. He just acknowledged she's pretty. He needs to realize men are an option.
They are! Golly!
But did it say he wanted to slam him against a wall?
Against the stone building, yeah.
Ugh,
But
I hate jealousy.
Not ravish, not kiss. KR wasn't a fool.
I could have done with a love rhomboid.
I just need KR to be like over any character that he... I just want KR to be a little bit of a hoe. Is that too much to ask?
Apparently.
Why can't he be batty his eyelashes at anybody? KR wasn't a fool, yet he doesn't know the desires of his own heart. He knew some of her smiles and blushing hadn't been acted, even though he had no claim on her, M-. Though making a claim would be the stupidest thing he could ever do,
I
M-.
hate jealousy trope.
The thought of her being susceptible to Archer's charms made him want to have a little chat with the courtesan. And if she's susceptible to his charms, maybe I could be
I'll finally understand what the prince means when he says he's in love with me.
Yeah. Enemies to lovers, jealousy, we hate them. What can we say?
I hate them!
Though I can say I also dislike jealousy. I'm not sure what you feel exactly about enemies to lovers, but...
Not as passionately as jealousy.
Oh, jealousy.
Mainly because I don't come across enemies to lovers as much.
You come across jealousy often? That's like, not for long.
Were you not just watching Andy in Downton Abbey with me?
I was reading the Holy Word of God at that time, so... Rather than head back to the castle, she began walking through the wealthy district in the heart of the city, her steps unhurried. After nearly 30 minutes of silence, Kale figured he'd cooled his temper enough to be civil. "Lena?" he demanded. Slightly civil, at least.
Not civil at all, actually.
The gold streaks in her turquoise eyes were bright in the afternoon sun. The gold streaks in her turquoise orbs were bright in the afternoon sun.
The only thing that would have made that sentence worse would be orbs.
Of all the things we said back there, that is what bothered you most? It did. Lord help him. It bothered the hell out of him.
Just because you haven't come up with a pet name? Dude, it's because you're not creative.
When you said you knew him, I didn't realize you meant that well. When you said you knew him, I didn't realize you meant that well. That well. He fought the strange, sudden temper that was honing itself again. Even if she'd been charmed by his looks, she was going to kill Archer, he had to remind himself.
I'm going to say they literally spent like a chapter or two ago bonding over loves, and now he's out here thinking this is one of her past lovers and like absolutely hating him. Just saying.
He's shallow. My history with Archer will allow me to get him to provide information about whatever this rebel movement is, she said, looking up at the fine houses as they passed. The residential streets were tranquil. I looked at tranquil, and for a moment I was like, Tenequidkill? Despite the bustling city center only a few blocks down. He's one of the few people who actually likes me, you know. Oh, he did years ago. It shouldn't be too hard to get an inkling of what this group might be planning against the king, M-, or who the other members might be.
Girl, it sounds like the way you're working behind the king's back, you're the rebellion.
Part of him, he knew, should be ashamed of I think it would be funny if there's no rebellion yet, the king's just paranoid. But from Selena, like, poking around, talking about a rebellion and trying to figure things out, people are like, you know what? We should start a rebellion. She's kind of onto something.
She's onto something here. I mean, the king thinks we're doing it anyways. Would hate to disappoint.
Part of him, he knew, should be ashamed for finding some relief in the fact that she was going to kill him. He was a better man than that, M dash. And he certainly wasn't the territorial type.
Another unreliable narrator.
I would like to say KR wasn't a fool, and then the rest of the page directly contradicts that. Face it, all boys turned him.
Yeah.
And the guards knew he had no claim on her. He'd seen the look on her face when Archer had mentioned Sam. He'd heard of Sam Cortland's death in passing. He'd never known that Selena and Sam had crossed paths, that Selena had ever...
Booked him.
Ever loved that fiercely. On the night she was captured, she hadn't been out to collect cold coin from a contact, M dash. No, she'd gone to that house to get revenge for the sort of loss he couldn't begin to imagine. They walked down the street, the whole side neatly pressed against his. Could never be me.
They're walking that close together? Gosh.
He fought against the urge to lean into her, to tuck her closer.
She's already tucked against you, dude.
KR, she said after a few minutes.
You're sweating on me.
You're smothering me. You know I absolutely hate it when he calls me Lena, don't you? A smile tugged at his...
How could he know that?
A smile... Well, I don't think... From how that's phrased, that sounds like when you would say it. You know I absolutely hate when you do that, right? So I think it's just a way of telling someone that. So instead of saying...
I know,
okay.
I'm just annoyed.
A smile tugged at his lips, along with a flicker of relief. So the next time I want to piss you off... Don't you even think about it. His smile spread, and the flicker of relief returned to something that okay. His smile spread, and the flicker of relief turned into something that punched him in the gut when she smiled back. Smile with her face, punch with her fist. That's all I can say. End of chapter 8. Sorry, chapter 7.
My takeaways from this... From this chapter, my takeaway is this is clearly written for a different kind of person than me.
I don't think we're the target audience.
We are not the target audience.
Like, oh, he's so masculine. Does he have to be?
Does he have to be?
Must he?
Must he?
Mind he? He must. Mind.
Anyways, that's my biggest takeaway. I have a better understanding for why I don't like this book. More proof that I'm not the target audience.
A girl's gotta do what a girl's gotta do.
Sometimes it's monsters.
Sometimes? I can't deny. Okay, sign us off.
All right, toodles, everyone.